Well, hello everybody. Thank you for attending today's training with AllNet. My name is Tyler Nelson. I am the channel marketing manager for Klipsch. I handle all of our marketing efforts for the custom installation, the commercial, and the pro cinema side of the business. Many of you may not know that Klipsch is actually involved in many of the professional cinemas all around the world, from Regal to Harkins to all sorts of them all over the place. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well, but today's training that we're going to talk about, as was stated in the invite, is going to be all about Klipsch Custom, and we're going to talk about the presence Klipsch has in the custom installation industry, in the CI industry, how we can utilize the technologies that we've used in larger applications such as cinemas to benefit the end user and the installer on the custom install side. And then we'll talk a little bit about where we're going with the product line and what's available to you in terms of solutions and options. And then, of course, one of the big hitters that we really want to focus on today was the Heritage Theater Bar. It's a very unique passive LCR bar that is handmade in Hope, Arkansas. And we'll talk a little bit about that, and then a product that blends with it very well and creates a very good sound. But as always, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat, and then we'll answer them at the end if there is time. If not, then I will answer them. We'll have them sent, and I will answer those to everybody. But let's get rocking and rolling here. First and foremost, Klipsch, in general, has been a brand we've been around for 74 years at this point. And one of the things that Klipsch has always been well known for is our consumer presence, our CE presence, and being involved. You see us in the Best Buys of the world, or on the show floors of retail locations all over the place. And although Klipsch has always had a presence in the custom install area, it wasn't until a few years ago that we really took a look at ourselves and went, yeah, but how are we really giving the installers, the integrators, what they need tool-wise and product-wise to be successful in the CI industry? And not have to compete with those big box locations, those retail type online and retail locations. So what we did is, when we took a look at it, we decided there are four main things about the industry that we wanted to hit. One is exclusivity, making sure that the products that we do sell and do brand as Klipsch Custom are not sold in the mass retail or online channels. We wanted to create an installer first mentality with the product development and design. So how do we do that? We look at things like installation and the time it takes to get a product installed faster, and providing a better quality of sound, and the reliability and something of the product that the client will enjoy for now and years and years and years to come, and something honestly for them to brag about, because as we all know, the referral sale is the most important sale in the CI industry there is. So and that goes right into the branded solution. We want to take that brand that we have, that we've been so well known for, and create a solution that people know and can trust each and every time. And then the final one is a one-stop shop. What does that mean? That means that we want to have a solution for every opportunity, every project, every demand that the client may make, whether it's in-wall to an in-ceiling to an on-wall to compact subwoofers to in-wall subwoofers to in-ground subwoofers. Whatever the case may be, we want to have a solution for you so that you don't have to create or take with you 15 different brands when all you need is really one. So being able to offer that premium solution each and every time with all of these mentalities, that's where we're going with it. And we're going to take the information and the technology that we know has been successful for the last 74 years and put it into our custom install line. So what does that look like? Well, let's take a look at the brand story real quick. Now, the brand story itself is fairly unique, but it's that typical type of brand story that you hear so often from so many successful companies, such as Dell in his garage, or Apple in their garage, or whatever the case may be. The same was true with Paul Klipsch. In a little tin shed in Hope, Arkansas, he had a vision. He went, he was listening to the old phonographs, the speakers out there, and going, this is not what I heard at the live performance, at the location where I heard it live. I want that. So he wanted to recreate that live movie or music experience, and that's rolled over into today, where we want to recreate that live music, movie, TV, whatever, that live sporting event experience that you have each and every time. Now, the cool thing about this is, as Paul Klipsch was looking into all of the different aspects of creating a speaker, he had an attitude of a very forthcoming attitude of, this is how it needs to be, because this gives you the better quality of sound. This gives you the better experience. This will create that emotion that you had the first time you saw that music live. And being able to create that and recreate it time and time again is really what that engineering-driven attitude came from. And in his original design, the Klipsch horn, we've been making that now for the last 72 years, 74 years at this point. In fact, it's the longest single running speaker that's been made throughout the world over a continuous process for the last 74 years. So a very, very cool base story for it. But again, in a tin shed in Hope, Arkansas is where it created. And the really unique thing about Klipsch is that we're a very loyal hometown type of company. We want to create that experience, but we also want to do it in a way that benefits the end user and give them the best of both worlds in terms of the premium products. So in fact, the dedication towards the craft is a huge part of it. We still hand make products in Hope, Arkansas, just as we did. Even though our technology and design center and marketing and sales has all moved up to Indianapolis, Indiana now, we still utilize our Hope, Arkansas manufacturing facility to build our premium level of products, like the Heritage line, such as our Heritage Theater Bar, which we'll talk about in a minute, our Pro Cinema stuff that goes into the theaters of the world, our permanent install commercial line, our THX box, even the RF7 Mark III and the RC64 Mark III are all hand built in Hope, Arkansas. In fact, one of our newest products that we're working on launching this year is a behind the screen product for dedicated home theaters that will once again be built in Hope, Arkansas. So the quality, the craftsmanship, we take great pride and care in making sure that it's the premium experience each and every time. And because of that experience, it builds up in terms of being a market leader in a number of different categories. Now, the number ones, number twos, everybody's got number ones and number twos, but the ones that I want to showcase are actually down at the bottom. The 25% market share in home audio, but even more important is the 92% customer satisfaction rate. No matter where I go in the world, somebody always has a Klipsch story for me. Oh, you work for Klipsch? My father had a pair of those when he was in college. Man, I wonder where those went. Or my grandfather hung a pair of La Scalas in his garage, which is an honest to God true story. And I kind of looked at the person and went, you got to send me a picture of that. But being able to have those stories and being able to go, wow, those were such great speakers, and wow, he still uses them. I still use them today, or I still have them, is just a testament to the quality and the craftsmanship and the dedication we have to creating that premium sound experience each and every time. In other words, when you turn somebody on to Klipsch, they're going to stick with it. They love it. They love the sound. They love the quality. And that creates reputable sales for you. People are going to say to their friends and family, come on over, listen to this, check this out. You're going to love it. And thus the referral sales happen, even in the CI industry. Even more important in the CI industry. We're the cinema experts. Number one out of every 2 theaters in the US is a Klipsch powered theater. 1 out of every 4 globally is a Klipsch powered theater. The important thing isn't necessarily the market leader, as I stated before. It's the fact that we like to work with a lot of people internally and externally to create the best quality of sound. So development partners, we're always working with Dolby. We're always working with THX, DTS, IMAX, making sure that we can create that experience that they're going to hear in the theater that is what the director intended. That is what the person mixing intended it to do. The really cool part about all this, though, is because we're not some huge, massive company, we have the ability to not create siloed. We have the ability not to create silos for the technologies. we can share those between all aspects of our product development. So the same type of product, same type of technologies that we utilize in cinema surrounds, as an example, we can take that and put it into in-wall surrounds, or into our floor standing front channel speakers, or whatever the case may be. We want to make sure that we give everybody the opportunity to experience that first time experience. Now, where does this all come from? Well, when Paul Klipsch was designing his speakers, he was looking at it from a number of different aspects, and most importantly, the design aspect of recreating that live experience. But his 4 core principles that he came up with for designing a speaker include high efficiency, low distortion, wide dynamic range, controlled directivity, and flat frequency response. What do all these mean? Well, without going into too much details, high frequency, low distortion is directly proportional. So in other words, we can create, if we can create a speaker that's much more efficient with the energy that it's utilizing, we don't need to pump as much into it, and thus it's not as likely, or it's going to have a lower distortion to it. So why would that be a bad thing? It wouldn't. That's the beauty of it. How about a wide dynamic range? Well, you don't ever want to hear just highs or just lows or just mids. You want to be able to have that full range of sound. So we create technologies, we utilize technologies that encompass being able to create that wide dynamic range, or at least create the solution for those installations that will offer a wider dynamic of range. Controlled directivity is being able to make sure that the sound goes and is where it needs to be. Now, some people say, well, that's great, but I need sound everywhere. Well, that's fine. We can do that. We can adjust that by putting more speakers in. But the other part about that is you don't want to just blast it out everywhere, because it's going to drop off the range. It'll drop off significantly at one point, and then all of a sudden somebody who's listening on the far right side of the room may not get that same experience as the person in the middle, or even on the left side of the room. We want to make sure that we're controlling where that sound goes each and every time, so it creates a better experience overall. And then the flat frequency response is clean. We don't want to mess with it at all. It's going to be the way it was intended to be. Now, the other thing that comes up with a lot with people is, well, yeah, you're a horn-loaded company. Well, yeah, we are, but there's a lot of advantages to that. We have the opportunity to do all the things that we utilize in the 4 core principles in a horn-loaded design, so that it's a much more effective sound. It's much more efficient, less distorted. The sound is where it needs to go, and it's a much smoother track overall, without any sort of major jumps or hurdles within it. So it's a better overall sound for the client. We take these technologies and we put them into all the different types of CI-based speakers, or all the speakers for that matter, that we make. Architectural being the first one that we'll talk about. Now, in the architectural line, remember that we've been doing architectural speakers for quite some time, but what we needed to do is recreate our approach to the CI architectural marketplace. So what does that mean? That means we need to create a product that helps the integrators in terms of installation, in terms of quality, in terms of experience. So one of the things we did is we looked at our installation process. Within the Klipsch architectural line, there are actually 6 different speaker lineups that we have available for you. Klipsch THX, Klipsch Reference Premier Professional Series, Klipsch Reference Professional Series, Klipsch Designer Series, Klipsch Custom, and then Klipsch Slimline. Now, the 4 I have listed on here utilize these 2 very unique, and you've probably seen these before, or seen the one on the right before as well, but 2 very unique installation methods. The one on the left focuses on being able to create a better quality of sound. The SecureFit technology is a 2-piece modular installation system, whereas you cut the hole in the wall, pull the speaker wire through, and then place the bracket into said hole. You'll lock that in with a flip of each one of the dog legs that will automatically snap into place, and then you connect the speaker and put it into place. Use a low torque wrench and secure it. Now, that's a pretty standard way of doing things, but the unique part about doing a 2-piece system is that it creates a better quality of sound. How does it do that? Well, because it's isolating the speaker from the baffle, from the wall. In fact, we're able to reduce baffle vibration by about 45%. Now, if you think about that, that means that I'm isolating the speaker, I'm getting that better quality of sound. It's not disrupting the rest of it. It's not creating any sort of hums or bumps or any of that nature. But the other cool part about this is that we put this on our higher end architectural speakers. We put it into our professional series, the Klipsch professional series reference and reference premier architectural, because those are usually going to be driven at a little bit higher volume. Now, on the flip side of it, when we're talking distributed audio, we're talking about speed, efficiency, and quality of sound. So I want to get in and out of a job faster. If I've got a huge hallway and I've got to throw 5 speakers, 6 speakers in this hallway, and I want to do it quick, I don't want to spend time doing 2-piece. I want to do in and out. So we worked with a company called Swarm to create an exclusive skyhook technology. Now, this is a tool-free technology that we're utilizing in our Klipsch Designer and Klipsch Custom series. Whereas you cut the hole, you connect the speaker wire to the speaker, and you push it into place. Those dog legs will automatically fire in tension based on the thickness of the drywall, so that it's a much more secure and simplified installation system. There's no need for any tools whatsoever. Now, we're actually doing an upgrade to this, and I don't have a slide on it yet, called Skyhook Cinch. And what that's going to enable us to do, and one of the things that we realized is after Skyhook launched, we got a lot of, we asked our dealer base and our distributors, you know, what the feedback was on it. And people were like, oh, we love it. It's simple. It reduces our install time so much. You know, dropping my overhead costs allows me to do X, Y, and Z. Great. But what struggles do you have? Well, sometimes the person putting up the drywall doesn't exactly do the best job, or they're putting up a textured ceiling. There's sometimes some gaps in between where the magnetic bezel is and the wall, because it doesn't sit as flush, because that drywall maybe isn't completely level, whatever the case may be. So we worked with Swarm to develop what's called Cinch, which will allow you to torque down using a Phillips head that dog leg just enough so that it will eliminate that gap that may occur when you have, say, a textured ceiling or a unlevel drywall or things of that nature. So look for that to come out this year. They are shipping now, but we're doing a running change to it. So that will be an upgrade for you as well. Again, still tool free, still works the exact same, but if you do have that little bit of a gap because of uneven drywall, you have the opportunity now to tighten that up and make it look fantastic. So again, these are on the Klipsch Designer and Custom series. Now, in terms of the product line, I'm not going to go through and read spec by spec because that's as boring to talk about as it is to read and listen to. So to give you an idea, the Klipsch Professional series, these are going to be your higher end of our architectural line aside from THX. Each one of our in-ceiling products comes with a round and square grill that is fully paintable. In fact, all the grills are bezel-free magnetic grills that are fully paintable. And they all utilize the same type of materials that we utilize in our higher level reference premier lines in our box speakers or our floor standing speakers that have been so well renowned for years and years and years. So reference premier professional series, you've got 6 options there, including one that's very unique. I kind of call it the Spider-Man speaker, but it's got an angled 1-inch titanium dome, a fixed angled 1-inch titanium dome tweeter, and a fixed angled 8-inch cerametallic woofer, so that you're able to create that LCR sound from the ceiling, or even use it for side surrounds if you need to, if the client doesn't want to have in-wall or box-based speakers. So you have an option such as that to be able to create that higher quality of sound. The Klipsch Reference Professional series has, 5 main products in it: the Pro 16s and 18s and 25 RW LCRs, and the in-ceilings with pivotable tweeters, as well as the fixed IMG woofers. So you can see that it just goes down one step in terms of product. Instead of titanium, it's aluminum, and instead of a cerametallic, our proprietary driver material, it utilizes IMG woofer material. But the unique part about this is that it expands into what is rightfully named a minimal footprint line. So you'll see down below here the Pro 14, the Pro 24, and the Pro 14 RC, as well as the Pro 800. SW, these are all of our minimal footprint speakers. Clients, when you're working with interior designers, one of the things they hate is seeing giant grills or seeing speakers or seeing anything for that matter. They just want a nice, clean, flush install. So what we did with these is we reduced the overall footprint of them and made it so that they blend seamlessly into the environment and they're very unobtrusive. In fact, the Pro 14 RC is a very unique offering along with the Pro 800 SW, this in-ceiling dual bandpass sub, dual voice coil bandpass sub, excuse me. And so you can utilize this in ceiling or even in floor. There's an optional floor vent that comes with it. So what would that look like? Well, the cool thing about the Pro 14 RC is because of the size, when we were designing it, we designed it the same size as recessed can lighting. So it would blend seamlessly into that in-ceiling environment without being in sight for the most. I mean, obviously you're going to still see it, but it would blend in at the same size. So you're really not getting too much. In fact, the Pro 800 SW utilizes the exact same size footprint for the port as does the Pro 14 RC. So again, it's similar across the board. It creates that full dynamic range of sound. You can drive them and not have to worry about it. They're very efficient. They give you those highs, those mids, those lows. They sound phenomenal, and they use the skyhook installation method on the Pro 14 RC versus the standard secure fit. So a very, very unique feature on it. Again, a minimal footprint system, the Pro 14 RC and the Pro 800 SW. And again, this does have a floor vent boot kit. So if you wanted to put it in the floor and have a floor vent on here, pumping out some serious load, that's a lot of fun too. The next system is going to be the Designer series of products. Now we're getting into more of your dedicated listening slash distributed audio type of solution. So you've got a few more options available for you with pivoting tweeters, with stereo, dual tweeters in them for stereo sound. So we're giving you the option to create that distributed audio in a simplified installation with Skyhook and by Swarm. And then the custom series, your good option for just doing a whole mess of distributed audio, and that's about all you're doing for that project. This is a great opportunity for you. So in terms of a good, better, and best strategy, obviously your custom series is going to be your distributed audio, Designer series, distributed audio slash dedicated listening, more dedicated listening and some distributed audio, and this is going to be more your dedicated listening theater type of application. And of course, we do have the next level up, THX, which we'll get to in just a moment, as well as our slimline, or our shallow depth, which we'll talk about right now. Now, the shallow depth utilizes a very unique solution for installers as well, because a lot of times around the world, there's not the large floor joists that we have here in the United States. So we need to make accommodations to those installations. So these are only 50 millimeters thin, and they're fully enclosed. You'll see that there's a little port on them, as well as utilizing the IMG and the aluminum dome tweeter. So the 3400 is creating this metal background, backhand, and a port to create a standard sound. Now, why do you think we did the metal backhand and the port rather than just leaving this open and not putting the port on? Well, the answer is fairly simple. It's because we wanted to create the uniform sound throughout the installation without having to compromise based on how much space we had or how much, what we've got in that ceiling or in that floor joist, whatever the case may be. Those may change location to location or area to area within a home or wherever you may be installing it. So we wanted to control that. Thus, the metal backhand, the fully enclosed metal backhand, and the port. And we did it on a higher end one as well, the 5400. No change in terms of the overall spec of the 4-inch versus 1-inch, but the materials, cerametallic versus titanium. Still is the 50 millimeter, still is the metal backhand, still is the tractor export to enhance that low and get you that full dynamic range. And again, these also come with the bezel-free magnetic paintable grills, both round and square, or round and square grills, excuse me. And then the subwoofer, the architectural subwoofer line. We already talked about the in-wall, in-ceiling with the 45-degree and the port that's shaped in the same size as a recessed can, and also a vent floor vent boot kit. Again, these are more your distributed audio. I wouldn't put these into a theater or a listening area or even like a family room in terms of trying to get that real low. It's to just kind of round out that entire range of sound. When you're getting into more distributed audio and home theater, you're going to want to talk about the 1000 and the 1200 here. This is going to be more your retrofits, a 10-inch fully enclosed MDF enclosed 10-inch cerametallic woofer, very simple to install, and again, paintable magnetic grill. And then the 1200 is for your more new construction application, where it's going to take up a full stud bay, standard stud bay. It comes with all the mounting brackets, and that's going to be your 12. Again, either one of these, you're going to need, you know, some people can get away with one. I'd say, you know, 2 is a pretty good number to get some serious low out of them. So those are the architectural subwoofers. And then to round out the entire architectural line, I wanted to discuss the THX Cinema series. This is consists of both box speakers as well as architectural speakers. So when we're talking about box speakers, I'm talking about items like this, like the THX 6000 LCR, the 5000, the things that sit outside of the wall, and being able to build these in Hope, Arkansas, hand built in Hope, Arkansas, really speaks to the volume. We've had these in the lineup forever, and people love them. They sound fantastic. They've been certified by THX as Ultra Series, and each one of these is its own unique application. For example, the THX 6000 LCR here, there's a left and a right version of it. The reason for that is that you want to be able to have the titanium dome compression driver, which is mounted in here on this horn, on the 90x60 Tractor-X horn, to be on the top. And with the port on the bottom, if we were to use a single one for left, center, and right, it's not going to, and just flip it over or something along those lines. People say, well, can I just flip it over? No, because now you've got the Tractor-X port in the wrong location, and it just doesn't sound very good. So we created a left and right version to do left, center, and then right. And again, this is just flip-flop. So this would be over here, and then the drivers would be on the left-hand side. The THX 5000 series, that's more your general purpose. So that can be left, center, and right. There's only one category of it, and you can utilize those how you'd like. The surrounds, obviously using a 2 square Tractor-X horns on it to create that more surround and that more realistic surround atmosphere. And then the THX 12000 SW, the 12-inch front firing cerametallic, a front firing slot port, so you could put this into a cabinet, into a wall, and get some serious low out of it. I mean, we're talking 20 hertz on here. I would highly recommend that you don't use any sort of standard amp for this. You want to use this KA1000, specifically designed as a 1000-watt subwoofer amplifier for this unit. So please make sure, I'm not saying you have to do it, but it would be advantageous for you and the user to utilize that amplifier. In terms of the architectural line, again, all THX Ultra certified rated with utilizing unique technology. So the in-wall, you've got your LCR with the 90x90 Tractor-X horn in here, the cerametallic woofer, but then you'll notice on the surrounds, we've got the horn array here to be able to create that wider array of, or the wider sound dispersion for that specific surround environment, for that the enjoyment of the client, and to be able to create a much more encompassing atmosphere for them to listen to. In terms of the in-ceiling, same basic concept here. So you see on the 5002, the in-ceiling surround, you've got the diffuse Tractor-X horn array here. But on the in-ceiling, you'll notice that this horn itself is a very different looking horn. And the reason for that is that it utilizes what's called variable coverage technology. This is a technology unique to Klipsch, where the horn on the top is smaller, or the area on the horn is a little bit wider than it is at the back. And the reason for that, and plus it's angled, the reason for that is because when you're sitting in an environment, and maybe you have a couple of seats in front, couple of seats behind, and you're utilizing in-ceiling speakers like this for your LCR, you want to make sure that if we just had a single angled driver in here, it's going to position that sound to go to the sweet spot, right, that middle area. However, by creating a unique coverage horn here, we're able to create sound that goes to the front and all the way to the rear, so that there's a well-rounded sound for everybody. There's no bad seat in the house. Now, the other thing about the in-ceiling products is that they all have rear, they're fully enclosed. So you see the Tractrix port on here, so that we can, once again, control the sound. We can make sure that it sounds the way it needs to sound throughout the environment. We also have two THX Select based speakers for in-wall that, again, are certified THX Select, utilize fiberglass and titanium compression drivers for the application. And again, just one step below the Ultra. So that kind of gives you an idea of the architectural line in terms of in-wall and in-ceiling type of speakers. Now, that's not going to be a fit for everybody. Not everybody wants in-ceiling, not everybody wants in-wall. So we looked at that and we said, well, how do we create something that sounds as good as our renowned floor standing speakers without being floor standing speakers? And the answer is on-wall speakers. Very simple concept that utilizes the exact same technologies that we put into our reference premier level floor standing speakers and in-wall ceiling and in-wall and in-ceiling speakers in here. So these are all on-wall, or they do come with stands, so you can put them on a shelf if you want. There's the RP, Reference Premier 140D, so small to medium room surrounds, small LCR surrounds. The 240, which obviously 2, and then for your medium to small to medium rooms as well for the LCR, or the surround. The 640D, that's going to be more your dedicated large room LCRs. I wouldn't see a lot of this going in as surrounds, but hey, go for it. If the client really loves the look of it, you're getting 6 4-inch drivers here. That's going to pump out some serious sound for that, for any room size. And or you can utilize the passive LCR soundbar, the RP440D SB, where you have 3 dedicated channels. This is a passive bar that can be mounted on wall or on the stand here. And again, small and medium rooms, but it gives you that left, center, and right sound in dedicated channels. So we created these items because not everybody can put everything in wall, not everybody can put everything in the ceiling, not everybody wants box speakers. So how about something that's smaller, easier to use, but sounds fantastic? So that kind of rounds out the entire, architectural solutions line. In terms of powering these, Klipsch does make some specific amplifiers, and the unique thing about these amplifiers is that there's 2 versions of them, the KDA 500 and the 1000, and these are dedicated for the CI and Pro channels because they have both the capability of doing 70 volt, 100 volt, and low impedance out of any channel. So if you want to bridge output channels 1 and 2 as 70 volt and then do channels 3 and 4 as low impedance, you certainly could. You have that option. So being able to utilize this in a variety of installations is key. How else we did that? Well, we made this a very simple and easy daisy chain operation. IP controllable. There's drivers available for all these different types of control companies, Crestron, RTI, C4, URC. You can control these so that you can turn them on when you need them and have them go right to the volume levels that you want just by pressing outside music, as an example. So being able to utilize that. But in terms of setup from an integrator standpoint, how does that benefit you? Well, what features benefit you? Well, obviously the IP control is very useful, and the ability to do 70 volt and low impedance is very useful. But what about the EQ settings and being able to do all that? Well, we have an onboard DSP that allows you a full suite that allows you to go in and make adjustments for however you see. So whether you want to go in and change the immediate levels or go into the lockable setup area that you can assign a password to if you'd like, to change like the input channel naming, the volume configurations, the updates to any firmware, being able to change outputs, the EQs, the 5-band parametric EQ. All of this is available to you to be able to connect directly into the amplifier from your computer just by going into the network or plugging directly into it. So as an example here, what do we give you in this setting? So this is the EQ for the KDA 500. So you can see that you get everything from the crossover to the shelving to the delays, and it's each individual channel. You can go in and do a 5-band parametric EQ, but one of the cool things about this is there is also a copy option. So once you set it for output channel 1, you can actually copy. It's not on here, but you can hit the copy button and then go to output channel 2 and hit paste. Oh, pardon me. And it would paste those exact same settings from the output channel 1 to output channel 2. So you don't need to go through and remember and go back and forth to do it each time. But we've made it even easier for you. On the output side of it, as you can see at the top here, there's general input, EQ, where we just were, and then output. There is actually a speaker preset. Underneath this is just about every Klipsch speaker that we make that has all of the EQ settings for that particular speaker already set up for it. So if I was setting up a landscape system that utilizes 70 volt, I could go ahead and change the output mode from stereo to bridged, and then choose my speaker preset to be the Klipsch landscape outdoor speaker that I'm using. And now all the EQ settings for that output, channel 1, then channel 2, because they're going to be bridged, would be automatically inputted in there. So it's all about saving you time and being efficient with this. Speaking of outdoor, Klipsch offers the only horn-loaded landscape speakers on the market today. We wanted to take the sound that we're so well renowned for on the inside and bring it outside. Now, once again, we've been doing outdoor speakers on the pro side and even on the residential side for quite some time, but in terms of a professional series, a dedicated CI, commercial channel, landscape speaker, or even a rock speaker, we wanted to make sure that the sound that they're getting is that high performance sound that they hear from all of our products. So on the landscape speakers themselves, you actually have two options, the Pro 500T and the Pro 650T. Again, I'm not going to read through all the specs by spec, but they all utilize 70 volt, 100 volt, and low impedance capabilities. They also have a 105-degree wide track-X horn. In other words, you're not focusing the sound on a small area. Most landscape speakers have about a 60-degree dispersion, sound dispersion, which means that you need to install quite a few of them for a coverage area. But if I'm able to increase that to 105 degrees, now I've got a much wider coverage without it dropping off as I walk through. So instead of walking through and going, oh, it sounds great, oh, I can't barely hear it, no, it sounds great, now I'm gonna hit that consistency and it's gonna sound great from end to end, no matter what. As you can see here on the back of the speaker, it utilizes this simple tool-free multi-tap switch. So you can literally just turn this to the wattage setting that is needed based on the rail that you're creating with a 70 volt installation. Or you can switch it to bypass if you're just going to do a home run to each one back under low impedance. So very, very simple but effective installation. Each landscape speaker can be utilized with a ground stake, a 10-inch or an 18-inch ground stake, or we just came out with last year a surface mount bracket that you can put onto fence posts or on trees. It's called the Pro 1 SM. So Pro Series 1 and then SM for surface mount. So very simple and easy to remember. But again, you'll have access to our full catalog. But then you can, instead of utilizing the ground stake and the neck, it attaches directly to the speaker itself. So this whole thing essentially would come off and you replace it with the surface mount bracket, and that could go onto a tree with a 1-inch tree strap, into a fence post, onto a house, whatever the case may be. You have that capability of doing it. In terms of the low frequency, on the subwoofer side of it, the Pro 10 SW and the Pro 12 SW are the unique offerings from Klipsch on this side, a half burial 10-inch sub and a 12-inch burial direct full burial sub. Again, you're looking at 25 and 22 hertz base extension on these, and both 70 volt and low impedance capable. The cool thing about this full burial, unlike a lot of our competitors, you'll see that it has squared off ends. That will allow you to dig the hole, put it in place, and backfill it without having to have somebody hold it in place so it's straight. It gives you the opportunity to simplify that. Plus, we put the chimney directly on top so that it doesn't come out and create an even larger hole for you. So very simple and easy installations. In terms of the rock speakers, same basic concept. But the cool thing we did with this, and what we recognize, is that when you're creating an outdoor landscape, outdoor listening experience, sometimes the client wants to have maybe a couple of rocks and then a couple of landscapes, or maybe that's just what the project calls for. Well, we didn't think redesigning a whole rock speaker made a lot of sense. So all we literally did was we took the exact same acoustics that are built into the landscape speakers and the Pro 10 SW subwoofer and put them into these. So you legit have horn-loaded rock speakers here that have the same acoustic principles as the landscape speakers. So it makes it very easy. But the cool part about it for the customer is that there's not going to be a change in the overall sound as they're sitting in one place to another. It's going to sound similar across the board. All weather surface mounts are available for you, black and white. You have the opportunity to be able to place these in. These are all low impedance, of course. There are commercial versions that have the multi-tap on them as well. Speaking of which, the CP6T is one of those. It's a very compact performance outdoor speaker that utilizes a bracket system for installation and front ports on it for terminal mounting. So very simple, easy type of outdoor installations for you. Now, the star of the show that we want to talk about, the Heritage Theater Bar. What makes this so great? The Heritage Theater Bar, once again, was developed in Hope, Arkansas, under the premise of how do we take these heritage quality, these beautiful speakers, the Klipsch horns, the La Scalas, the Forte. How do we take that and put it into something that's so popular in terms of a sound bar, a theater bar? And what we created was this Heritage Theater Bar. It's a passive, hand-built LCR sound bar. So again, there's no electronics built into this. You're still going to need an amp and or a receiver to power this thing. It is hand-built and handcrafted in Hope, Arkansas, and it's made. And there are two options for you in terms of made to order. It is full real wood finish, furniture grade real wood finish. This thing is heavy. It's beautiful. Hand-wrapped grills. We spared no expense when it came to development of this piece. We wanted to make sure that it matched perfectly with whatever the location it was going with, whether it's a corporate office space, to a home, to a living room, something that can easily blend in with the environment. You may say, well, yeah, but that doesn't blend well with most environments. Well, actually, that's why we created something within it that allows you to customize this bar, and I'll get to that in just a second. But the finish part of it speaks volume. It just screams premium quality. The sound itself, as you can see, there are your left, center, and right, all with 90 by 90 Tractrix horns, the Cerametallic woofers on here, the titanium dome-loaded tweeters that are all home-loaded, and again, it's passive LCR. But I also want you to keep in mind this front panel here. In terms of installation, I'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute. In terms of installation, we want to make this as simple as possible because this is not a light bar. Once you install this, the last thing you want to do is have to take it off again. So we created a front input panel with a pass-through here so that you can pull the speaker wire right through and then connect it up or connect it and then mount the speaker itself. So it makes it very easy in terms of installation. There are two options for you in terms of this bar. You have a standard theater bar option where you have a 49.5-inch length that is ready to ship today, with two finish options, a satin black ash or an American walnut. Both of those will come with a black knit grill. So I guess this picture isn't the best picture because that doesn't have a black knit grill. But the idea is that a 49.5-inch length matches to most 55-inch TVs today, which is the most commonly sold TV on the market. It's getting larger, as we all know, but in terms of overall purchase, 55-inch is still the norm. It's getting up there though. It's pushing 60 at this point from a lot of the MPD data I've seen. So this one is ready to go. It's two SKU numbers, one for the black ash, one for the walnut. Very simple, straightforward. As you can see, black knit cloth, magnetic grill, standardized wall mount bracket template comes with it to accommodate for those stud spacings, whether it's 16-inch or 32-inch. The front input panel, the zinc logo, a very hand-built in Hope, Arkansas. The full custom bar gives you the ability to adjust the width of the bar, the size of it, the finish of it, the grill cloth, gives you a ton of options for it. What does that look like? Well, the bar itself is the exact same as the other bar. It still utilizes those 4.5-inch aluminum woofer, Cerametallic woofers actually, the 3/4-inch titanium tweeters that are horn loaded. You still get all of that. It's still the same bracket, but now you have the ability to have the customized length anywhere from 49.5 inch up to 80 inches. So you really can get a big bar out of this thing. And with all the different veneer and grill and badge combinations you have, it adds up to 60. So you can't tell me there's not something for everybody in this. Each one of there's 6 different types of wood veneers that you can do. Everything from the American walnut, black ash, a primed white, a raw, so you can stain it the color you want on there. There's just a slew of them on there. Forgive me, I'm forgetting all of them here. And then a black knit, a cream color grills as well. So we really wanted to give you the opportunity to customize that bar based on the customer and what they're looking for, and really blend it with the environment. In terms of installation, a Z-clip wall mount installation, very simple, very easy, 1-person installation. Now, I wouldn't recommend 1 person, but it could be done. And then front-mounted inputs, which with the wire bypass that we talked about already. So what does that Z-clip look like? Well, here it is. It's very simple. You basically are going to attach these Z-clip brackets, these 2 wall mount clip brackets that are shipped to the wall, and then the theater bar ships with the Z-clip attached already to it, and you just put it in place. It's very simple. The wire bypass goes right through, and creates and gives you that opportunity. Actually, that should be over here, but whatever. So a very simple method in terms of mounting this bar is that Z-clip. Plus, it gives you the opportunity to slide it a little bit here, a little bit there, just an inch or 2. Again, if you are moving it or need to move it, I recommend 1 person on each side. Just lift it a little bit and then slide it over a bit and then put it back down. I wouldn't try to have 1 person slide the whole thing on those cleats. Last thing you want to do is have it get caught or something along those lines and fall out, rip the wall out or something along those lines. In terms of ordering, again, the 2 standard 49.5 options are available to you under separate grills, but the custom one needs a full custom order form completely filled out. So what does that custom order form look like? Well, it looks just like this. You enter in the company name, the contact name, the dealer number. This is all stuff that the integrator and/or the sales rep can put in for you, or you can put in. You select the soundbar type. So between 49.5 and 65 inch, or between 65.1 and 80 inch. You select which one that is. You select your wood finish, so the American walnut, the satin black ash, cherry, the distressed oak, the primed white, or the real ash woods veneer ready for a stain. You've got your grill types, the black, the gray, the top, the cream. And then you need to enter in the soundbar length. And the unique thing about this is that we'll go down to the 1/10 of an inch. So if you need a 52.7, put 52.7 in. Now the key I would, and when I was creating this form, I put a note in here, make sure to match to the specific TV width, not the diagonal viewing size. So don't have somebody say, oh, I've got a 55-inch TV and then put in 55. You want to get the exact length, bezel to bezel, of that TV. And what I recommend is not going by the manufacturer's stated spec, but actually getting out a tape measure and for the TV that the client might be buying, and measure it yourself so that you have that exact measurement that's needed. And then again, the logo badge on the front. You can choose to have this this beautiful logo badge put on to the grill itself in the corner, or not. We'll include it in the box regardless, but whether or not you want it on there or not is up to you and your client. And then of course all the information. Now again, this form has to be fully complete, and both the client and the sales rep have to initial it and sign it. We won't process it with those things done. That essentially makes it non-cancelable. Once this is submitted, because it is custom, we're cutting wood and all that stuff, it is in there. So once it's set up, there's no going back. And it usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes less, sometimes more for the custom bar, depending on the size and the grill and all that stuff. Now, a lot of times people say, well, okay, with so many different combinations, how am I supposed to sell this thing to a client? Well, there's a cool thing called a miniature bar replica sales kit that you can get. Just talk to your sales rep about getting that if you have questions on it. But essentially what we're going to do is send you 5 miniature versions of the custom bar frame, and with not all 6. We're not going to send the primer white one, because again, if it's white, they're just going to paint it a different color anyway, so what good would it do? But all of these are going to come as miniature versions, and then you're going to have all the different versions of the grill cloth available for you as well to show the client how it works. Now, these are all magnetic grill attachments, so you can mix and match them and show them. And again, we put these together in Hope, Arkansas for you, and we'll ship them out. Again, if you're interested in this, talk to your Klipsch sales rep, and we'll do what we can to get you one. Now, the Heritage Theater Bar itself, obviously, is going to be your left, center, and rights, and it's going to, it's got those highs and the mids and all that fun stuff. But in terms of combining it with a low option, the Klipsch subwoofers, specifically the Klipsch C-Series subwoofers, are a very nice way to bring a nice rounded sound to that experience without taking up too much space. The biggest problem with big subwoofers is that they're big. They take up too much space, right? So we designed a compact, a custom series subwoofer that is designed specifically for the custom integrator. A lot of times subwoofers, you put them in and then you have to go to the back and adjust it, make adjustments to it. What we did with the C-Series is we created an 8-inch and a 10-inch triple driver version. So the active driver is right on the front here. This is a cerametallic driver. But then the side drivers on each side of it, the left and the right, are going to be MDF, so that they match with the piano glass of the overall box. So it doesn't stick out. It doesn't look like a sore thumb. Plus, they're ultra compact. They don't take up too much room. The really cool thing about these is that they're so custom friendly. They've got all these different inputs, from dual RCA to XLR to high level left and right, high def wireless with an optional transmitter. You've got an Ethernet port for IP controls with all the different control system companies out there. They are minimal in size. If you compare them to our 10-inch and 12-inch SPL subwoofers, which we sell quite a few of, look at the size difference between them. Ultra compact, but then you look at the low frequency extension you're getting out of it. This nearly matches that of the 120 at 24 versus 25, or the 28 at 27. You're really getting some serious low out of this thing. It is very powerful. But how do I customize it further? I mean, that's great, but how do I customize it? Well, we developed an app called the Low Control app, which allows you to go in and fine-tune this subwoofer for the experience. So this app, if you go onto the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and download and just type in Klipsch Low Control, it's a free download. You can download it, and there's a demo mode in there. So I recommend you do that and play with it a little bit. It gives you an opportunity to see what all the capabilities are. But just to focus on a couple of them, this is an example of what the screen would look like, and you would get the subwoofers. Now, this can control as many subwoofers as you have available to you over that low power Bluetooth connection. But you also notice down below that we've set up some EQ modes, so flat, a cinema mode, a music mode, and a night mode, which turns off that low significantly, as well as user modes. You have the ability to go into the modes, like the user modes, or when you select a subwoofer, and go in and select the inputs and adjust the trims, the high levels. You can go into the advanced controls and do a full 5-band parametric EQ setting, and then save it to the specific setting that you want. So if you're really fine-tuning this for cinema, you can save it to the cinema mode, and it's ready to go for the client. And you don't need to go back and forth to that sub and adjust little tweaks here and there on the back of the sub, because they're not there. In fact, we even offer an auto room EQ setting where you can do both near field and far field readings utilizing your handheld device to get an auto EQ'd for that listening position. So it's a really unique offering that we have with all of these different factors. In fact, you can go in, and I don't know if you saw it, but there's a low pass filter that gives you a whole bunch of options, a phase, a delay. You can go in and automatically adjust all of these. Not automatically, you can go in and customize all of these from the listening position so that you're giving your client the optimal experience. And then of course the IP control, being able to utilize this and select through RJ45 IP control, two-way communication. So feedback and control over this guy. And as you can see from the back here, there's the only knobs that are on here are the volume and the inputs. That's it. and then be able to hit watch a movie as an example on Control 4. And it's going to say, okay, switch to the RCA input, increase the volume to 3 dB, change to cinema EQ preset. Okay, and it does it. So you have the opportunity to do that with the IP control, which once again takes advantage of that customizing. So if you've got a client that's going to hit the listen music, but you don't want it on cinema mode, nor do they want to go into their phone, they just want to hit that button and go. So they press it, and now the subwoofer is optimized for that experience. Very, very beneficial from that C-Series subwoofer. If you haven't checked one out, I highly recommend you do. They are awesome. So the last thing I want to really talk about is the free system design. Klipsch, you know, we take great pride in providing the optimal sound experience, but how else can we do that for you? Well, for all of our integrators, for all of our partners, we offer a free acoustic system design. All you need to do is send your plans of that room, of that location, of that house to prosystemdesign@klipsch.com, and we will send you a bid-worthy top-down, you know, dispersion SPL modeled overview of what speakers to use and where. Now, what we recommend is you provide us as many details as you can. You know, areas, obstructions that may come into play, like trees or rocks if you're doing outside a pool. You know, idea of what the customer is wanting, how you think you can, you know, get it sold in, whatever the case may be. We will work with you however we can to get the optimal system. And then the beauty of it is that these are bid worthy and with legends, so that if you wanted to take it and say, hey, you know what, you know, if they're hesitating on whether or not to go with Klipsch or a lower price product, you say, you know what, Klipsch heard about your, you know, we talked to Klipsch a little bit about your project and they loved it so much they designed it for you, and here's what it's going to look like. That might just push them over the fence, right? So it's the little things that we can do. These designs are done by Klipsch acoustical engineers, not by somebody we just pulled off the street and taught how to do Visio. This is high-level acoustic engineering that they're taking into account everything from dispersion to SPL modeling to the headroom needed, everything that they can do to create the best possible solution. And they do these things. They do these types of models of these designs for everything from, you know, stadiums to cinema auditoriums to home theaters in a single room. It doesn't matter. We're happy to help you in any way we can. So send those designs to prosystemdesign@klipsch.com, and we're happy to help you. With that, I'm happy to open up any questions. I know we're running short on time, but wanted to see if there are any additional questions out there.
Well, I'll stay on as long as you will. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to type them in to the chat window. Tyler, can you hear me?
All right. Well, if there are any questions, please feel free to submit them. We're happy to answer them as best we can, as quickly as we can. And with that, thank you very much. We really appreciate your time. And happy selling, everybody. Take care.